Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Martin, and welcome to the third season of the Orkney Bowl. For those who haven't yet seen the Eastern Conference review from Tuesday, so year three of the Orkney Bowl, Martin. You got your promotion last year. You've moved up into Division Two. Is it back to back? Is that the target back to back? Get into that first division. Maybe take a pop at it next year. Is that the
Uh,
thinking?
I hope so, Craig, but I've got a hard match up this week. So we picked some of the winners, and the person that I picked to win it actually is who I'm facing this week. It's Luke. So it's a hard. I've got a hard match up this week. So I'm praying that Drake London will be fully back. I'll need all my big guns to win this week. What about yourself? Have you got a good match up this week?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm playing Fraser from Bankfoot. This week he lost last week to Doug in the big derby game up there. I think there's about 100 people that live in Bankfoot, and that's two of them are in the same division in the Orkney Bowl. But more sheep than people in that wee village. But anyway, there's so yeah. I mean, I'm playing Fraser this week. I mean, I lost last week, but I scored decently enough. I was over 190 points, which was pretty good last
Oh,
week. I
that's
ran
good.
into the top scorers in the Eastern Conference with 245 points. So we'll see if the top scorers also see how the West is going. Because what we noticed going through the East on Tuesday, Martin, the scoring in week one this year wasn't to the same standard of the scoring last year. I don't know if that's teams, maybe drafting a wee bit better in the kind of super teams, not so many super teams kicking about, or if the scoring generally was just lower than what is expected, and it will pick up as the season goes on. What's your feelings on that?
Well, I think it was all the top. I think I had a quick look. Like I've not looked deeply into it, but it seemed to me just gauging it roughly looked like the top 10 to top 15 wide receivers. Only two of them did what you expected, which was Lamb and Puka. Everyone else seemed to really have
Yeah.
bad games, so that's what would have caused a lot of the scoring to be down because Orkney is a three wide receiver league. So you kind of want to get at least one receiver in your first two rounds. So the guys that went double running back probably won their matchups last week's.
Yeah. That was my point on Tuesday night. Double if you went double running back, you're cheesing, and if you went double wide receiver, you're in panic mode. Pretty
Exactly.
much,
So it will be
I mean,
interesting to
for
see if
me,
it. How,
it's not a time to panic. I don't think. No, if you have went with the Burrow Chase stack, which was a very popular thing to do this year, you lost in week one. If you've went Burrow Chase stack, you lost week one. Even Burrow Higgins stack, you've lost week one. But they will win you weeks as well. So it's nothing to panic about at this stage. I don't think. And week one was relatively injury free in the sense that if you kind of had Kittle, you're a bit worried. But like you said, London, I mean, I was saying on Tuesday, I thought he was out for 3 or 4 weeks, but it seems he might just be back this week straight away. So, yeah, good news for London owners if he gets back on the field this weekend. And Worthy, we don't know about Worthy yet either. But I mean, outside of that, there wasn't really any major injuries. So I think this week you've got to just, whether you won or whether you lost, you've got to stick by your guns. You drafted these guys for a reason. Just because they had a bad week one doesn't mean they'll have a bad season.
well, definitely. I think Worthy's came out and he's not having surgery, so he's just going to play through that injury all season now. Because usually when they get a dislocation, they have to have surgery to properly fix it
Yeah.
100% at some stage. So he's just going to play through that this season, which is a good thing for the Worthy people that he's not going to be missing time. But for yourself, what you're saying you scored that was at 190 odd points you scored. Um, Last year, I kind of worked out that I think if you were scoring 195 points last year, you were going to win most of your matchups. So if you're getting around 195, judging by last year, that would be meaning you're going to win a lot more games than you lose.
I don't foresee the 300 plus scoring weeks this season that we got last year from a few teams. I think if you hit the kind of 240, 250 mark and lose your game, that's been very unlucky. I mean, that's going to be the kind of top
Oh,
5% scoring throughout the whole league.
well, last year, see if you scored 210 points, 215 points, I would say you were really unlucky to lose those weeks, to be honest with you. Like, see, it was weird. See, as soon as you were getting like see if you're saying 220, you're scoring with the highest scores like in the week. I know some had super weeks where it was like 300 and that, but that was like bizarre things happening, like Burrow and Chase against the Ravens when they got 100 points between two players. I mean, that's the kind of things that have to happen for you to get 100 points, you know?
Yeah, so as I say, then I'm quite happy with my points that I scored. As I say, it's just the fact that I ran into the 245. I ran into the biggest score in the East last year. I won't be doing that every week, and hopefully I'll kick my season off this week with a win against Fraser. But then he's in the same boat. He went 0-1 as well, you know, so he's very much looking to get his season off to a fire. Anyway, we're into the Western Conference now. That's all in the East because you're in the Division 2 in the East as well. So we have covered your good self. So not you've not got your own team this week, but we do have the Western Conference, and we'll start off in Division 4 as usual. You know, so the Dwarfie Stane division. This is a division where, you know, the only way is up. You can't get anywhere. You don't have to worry about getting relegated in this division, and that's the main thing. So you got to look to be going up the way. So we kicked it off with the Cock Red Army winning with just 168 points. You know, there we go again, as we were highlighting. You know, you can win with these scores. Beating the Plymouth Assassins, it was a very close one. I don't know if the score corrections have went through yet or not, but if they haven't yet, then that could be one that would maybe be in danger of switching. Then we had the Gloucestershire Wolfpack. They hit the 236 mark, so great score, beating the Newcastle Magpies 200.92. The Rhynie Cardinals, they got a nice win with 197 points against the Fulwood Patriots, who only get 150. The Birmingham Patriots, they got off to a 235-point start also against the Peterhead Bloody Jets, 173. The Clemson Marines got 185 points, and that was enough to see off the Bangholm Sharks, who got 174. And then the Trinity Flyers, 213 points, beat the Q Kings at 174. So again, the scoring all very tight, you know. Everyone see the 160 or the 166.1 for Cock Red Army probably would have lost to everyone else bar one.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you score below 190, and that was me this week. I think I scored 185 maybe, and the person I beat scored 180. But yeah, the 100. If you're scoring below 190, I think you're winning. You're stealing a win. You know, if you're below that 190, 185 kind of range, that's you beginning to steal wins. So those people that scored below that and won, they will be really happy.
Delighted, because I mean you'll score better than that as well as you go, you know, as the season goes on. So if you, at the end of the day, a win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter if you get 120 points and win or 230 points and win. You know, if you win, it's a victory, and that's the main thing. And I think this one here, that with the Cock Red Army here, this is highlighting the whole wide receiver thing we were talking about. If we go back up to the wide receivers that they've got here, because you know, I mean, you would think Jefferson, Collins, and Waddle, you know, that's a great wide receiver room. And, you know, take Jefferson's touchdown away, and they've scored very, very, very average, all three of them, you know, and they must have bigger weeks ahead.
And even, and you don't know what's going to happen with Ingram right now. That injury, people are quite scared of his injury, so might have to look. I don't know what his other tight ends are, but yeah, and Jennings injured as well, so he's got a couple of worries there, because I don't know the full ins and outs that Jennings injury either, but I know that Ingram one, folk are kind of worried about that one.
I've actually seen people dropping Ingram this week, surprisingly. I mean, I'm not at the stage of dropping him to agency yet, that's for sure. You know, if you've drafted Ingram, you've drafted him pretty high up. You know, I mean, he was the maybe 6th or 7th tight end off the board. So, yeah, to be dropping him at this stage, I think is a bit hasty. But I agree with you, he's a little bit of a worry there. Tooting, now that's he's had a big boost this week with Bigsby moving over to Philadelphia, so that's opened the door for him big time. I think Tooting owners are going to be very happy this week.
Well, I tell you what, the other team had Mims on the bench, and I was saying to Johnny before the show started, I've got Mims in a couple of leagues I'd really like to do well in, like a couple of leagues I've prioritised, obviously, that I want to win, and I've got Mims in both of them, and I'm really worried about Mims, and it's not because it's if he's fumbling, he's got so much competition. It's like he might lose it if you're fumbling about. He's just going to lose his job. So even if he's
He's
getting
one of those
lots of
ones where
snaps,
he's number 2 spots on a Shagley peg, isn't it? And don't get me wrong, I picked him up in our home league, the Show Me the Money League, So yeah, I could do with Mims having a good season, but I agree. You've got the likes of Franklin there, who's going to be knocking on the door of that spot, and there's so many options there. Ingram as well, obviously, as an option for Nix, and Nix was pretty slow off the mark this week, shall we say? That was it was a worrying performance. Is he maybe going to hit that sophomore slump that so many of them do when they've had a good year one?
I know it was him and the Panthers QB as well, Bryce Young. I mean, it looked like he turned a corner. Like in Superflex leagues, I kind of went quite strongly on Bryce in the sense that when I drafted him, I was that confident on him. Like I wasn't fussed about picking up a third quarterback. I was quite happy having like a quarterback, then having Bryce as my second. And after week one, I'm only in like a couple of Superflex leagues, but like Bryce scored me 5 points, and I'm just like, oh, this could be really trouble here.
It did not look good, did it? It looked like he was kind of the early Bryce Young and not the kind of back end of last season Bryce Young, So, but I mean, it was a tough defense. It was up against, that Jags defense does look a lot better this year. So we'll see how it goes as it goes forward. I wouldn't be panicking just yet. I'm not panicking with Bo Nix either just yet. There you go. I mean, there he is there for the Gloucestershire Woolpack in the 236. But so that's a great score with Bo Nix in the quarterback slot. So he's going to have much better weeks. Derrick Henry's just going to be a beast again, isn't he? And Garrett Wilson, certainly he looked like, Justin Fields looked pretty decent. I mean, that Steelers defense is
so
awful.
Good, man.
And I thought Justin Fields looked very good.
Honestly, see, I watched a bit of that game, like the second half of it, and Fields, man, he was throwing these balls into tight windows, and he had the velocity for them to get in there. He looked great, and that's just his passing. I'm talking about his run. He looked really good. So if he plays like that the rest of the season, he will win people leagues. Fields, he looked really good. But that's the Newcastle team. They must be sick. They scored 200 points, and they ended up losing. The Newcastle Magpies. I mean, Jay, you did really well. You ran into like a 236. That's going to be one of the best scores across it all at Orkney. You know what I mean? So he's just unlucky. If he puts up 200 points every week, he's going to win probably like 9-10 games. So he was just really unlucky.
Yeah, that's that. I mean that's playoff. That's making the playoff points. That if you score that every week, you'll make the playoffs. That's for sure. You're right. It's just about unlucky. Like Sir Jacobs there, he'll have better weeks in 17-30. I mean, we just kind of chucked it the second half because it was already in the bag. Obviously Jamar Chase there. There's much better weeks ahead there for Jamar Chase as well. Even Mike Evans. I mean, 13 points. It was, Mayfield was saved by the 3 touchdowns that he threw this week, but I'm not sure I would be jumping up and down if I was sitting on Mayfield at the moment after the week 1 performance. I mean, Atlanta defense is not great, and he done fine. He done okay, he done fine, but yeah, the Bucks just don't seem to look like the same team they were last year. Certainly out of week 1 for me anyway. So yeah, I'd be worried if I had Evans. More comfortable with Ibuka, I've got to say. I think he's going to have a monster season. I agree, pal.
Sorry, I've got him in the background. He's watching TV in my room.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree about Ibuka. Like if you've drafted him,
surely with Stefan Diggs as well, if you've brought in, if you're big on May this year, then surely Diggs is going to have a big season because there's not much. I mean, everyone goes on about Pops Douglas, 2 catches for minus yards, but a touchdown, and that got him out of jail this year. Diggs is going to be the man there. If they're going to go, if May's going to have a big year, I think Diggs has to have a big year as well. So I'd be quite happy if I was sitting on Diggs at the moment. It's first game back after a bad injury as well. I only see it getting better for him this year.
Well, I'll say, see players that didn't perform that were like you were hoping for, but they were on losing teams. I think you can usually coaches want to change things up. So if you've got a player that was on a losing team and they weren't involved much, look out for week 2 because these coaches are going to change things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that's it. I mean, well, as I say, the overriding thought always at this stage of any season is don't panic. You've done you looked into things in the summer. You've picked the guys that you think are going to have good years, not the guys that are going to have good week ones. So you just got to go at it, and yeah, and stick to your guns and hope that guys come good. I mean, don't get me wrong, some guys won't come good, but I think it's too early to be getting rid at the moment. I mean, if we look here, you've got Samson on the bench. Well, he's going to be big until Judkins comes in, isn't he? Because Ford looks
Yeah,
terrible. I am in awe.
definitely.
He's the number 2, but he had the most targets for Tennessee.
He's
Their
one that I think if
who's
you
already got.
that Titans boy, see if you missed out on some players, I think he's one you could go and try and pick up now. If he's on your waivers,
Absolutely.
But like you were talking about Mayfield, I think Mayfield was one of those ones. He actually had quite a bad game, but he scored a lot of fantasy points. So sometimes you get players that like that. Like Kamara's been one the last 2 years. Saints have been awful. Kamara's like it's not his fault, but he's had like 10 receptions for like 50 yards. It's like, I know it's a crap start
Yeah.
line, but he's got 10 receptions. He's getting you a lot of points.
I've got Kamara all over the place this year. Exactly that. Yes, they're terrible, so they're going to be dumping it off. They're going to be running the ball as much as they can, until they're out the games, and that's going to be all Kamara. So yeah, roll me up with some Kamara.
Definitely. Let's see a couple other games in here. John, are you able to? Let's just see if there's any other close ones. Let's keep going down. Oh, there's a close one there. The Clemson Marines. So that would have probably went to the last kind of game as well. Well, that might have been. They both would have been watching that. That's funny, Gibbs. But 10 receptions. That's all his points right there. Just 10 receptions.
It's the most. It's the most. It's the least yard for double-digit receptions from any NFL player in the history of the NFL.
That's
No one has ever
mad.
had less yards from double-digit catches. Yes, that's how much he got absolutely pummeled by our lot. Jack Bess, that was. I drafted him in a lot of dynasties, and I'm a wee bit worried now because he doesn't look like the man. But certainly, Etienne looks like he's going to now be a shrewd draft pick from where he was getting taken and what's happened in Jacksonville now.
See what I will say about Etienne, and I know, like I think it was pretty split. Most folk were like, you were either on the Bigsby or the Etienne side, right? But see, for me, what never made sense for me is that, see, before the last season, I think people forget how good Etienne was. Like, he wasn't just a good running back, he was one of the best running backs in the whole league. And then, yes, he had a terrible season where he didn't look right. I think there was a lot of talk of him carrying injuries, and obviously that coaching team that was there. See, for me, it always made sense for them to go with Etienne because why wouldn't you? Like, why would you not give the guy the chance? He wasn't just a good running back; he was one of the best running backs in the league who had one bad season. For me, it just made sense for him to be the guy that got the
Yeah, I mean,
chance. But I'll be honest, I am surprised they just got rid of it. Like, I'm surprised they didn't. Like, I thought it was going to be more maybe 60-40 or 70-30 split. I was as shocked as anyone that he just got everything. I wasn't expecting that after the preseason, I'll be honest, and I definitely didn't expect them just to ship Bigsby out the very next day. So, like, Etienne owners, they're over the moon right now because that's his job until he fumbles it away or gets injured.
absolutely. I mean, it's only going to be injury that takes him off him now, I would think. But there you go. Here's the difference in this game again. And up a wee bit, Johnny. Sorry for the defense. It's I mean, I say it often, but defense, well, everyone says defense wins championships, but the defense, if you can get two solid, always going to score you 20 odd points, the defenders in, it's going to be the difference in a lot of games. And here you go, it's a difference again here. There was a 10 points difference in the game, and you've got Wagner's 19.5 against Bernard 7.5. There's the difference. There's the game winner. That's it right there. So, they're not just a chuck away positions. They're not just in there to just throw any old thing at it. You know, you have to pay attention to defenders and how they're scoring if you want to do well in this league.
Definitely. What you're looking for, regardless of
three quarterbacks. Three quarterbacks
what
on
I
the
will say
bench,
is,
man.
regardless of position, like you really want, if it's a DB or a linebacker, you're wanting them to get about 8 or 10 tackles. That's what you want, because that's going to get you around 18, 20 points. Well, there you go. Wagner got 10 tackles. He got 19 and a half points. So you're wanting between 8 and 10 tackles for your defense. If your defense is not giving, the defender's not giving you that, you really just want to be changing them, because, you know what I mean, that is it. It can cost your lineups. Eh?
Massively, and do you know what the thing is? There are players in every agency that are going to be getting 10 tackles a week. You know, there are many defenders who score well. There are the difference makers as well, and if you don't have them, you're not really going to get them from agency. But you'll definitely get solid from agency. So if your guy's not turning it out, if he's turning out 2 or 3 tackles a game, you got to go to agency. There will be better there. You know, go in, have a wee look about, like Johnny was doing there. Look at what their previous scoring is. Look at what they tend to get, and if you can find a guy that's getting 8 to 10 tackles a game, he will do you. He'll do you a solid all season long, because there will be times that he gets into the backfield and he gets that quarterback hit or he gets that sack, and that just piles it all on. For the DBs, if you can find ones that have got 10, tackles a game, they're going to get the odd interception. They're going to get a wee pick six every now and then if you're lucky. You know, so definitely, you've got to base it around the tackling. That's your that's the breadwinner in the defensive positions, is how many tackles they get. But you have to take into consideration the other ways to win points as well, and as I say, 10 tackles a game, Bobby Wagner will get some quarterback hits, Bobby Wagner will get some sacks along the way as well, so very comfortable punching that type of player in, but you've got the ones that, the DBs, my problem with the DBs, see your Sauce Gardners, the real top DBs, quarterbacks tend to throw away from them, so they're never involved anyway, so they're not going to score you the point.
You're wanting the DBs that play safety, is what you want. So you're wanting like a Buda Baker, a Nick Crofts, these kind of guys, because they are making tackles. But that's what I did this. So that was my waiver wire this week. I got John Johnson. I paid the 70 fab or whatever I paid for him. And my other 2 pickups were linebackers. I picked up the Bucks linebacker, and I picked up the Rams' new linebacker they got for Atlanta, that Landman. So that's as I'm saying, because my linebackers did all right, but I got kind of lucky with one of them, and I didn't have a sub one, so that's what I've done. Week 1 waiver wire, I've picked up 2 linebackers, and I'm hopeful that'll be me for the season now with a bit of luck.
I mean, that's it. That's what you want, because you want consistency in those roles. You want someone who will score you the points, but as I say, they have to have a high ceiling as well, because there will be guys that knock it out. But it makes such a difference that, they've made a difference to this game. In fact, it's won this game. The difference of the points in the IDP is more than the win ratio. So it's a big one. But why 3 quarterbacks in the bench? Martin, go on and explain it to me, because I don't understand why. It's a 1 quarterback league. Johnny, show me the quarterbacks in the agency here. I'll bet your team China are starting quarterbacks in the agency still, despite having 3 starters in your bench. There you go. Wilson's there, Flacco's there, Rattler's there. I mean, not guys that you're over the moon about punching in, but they're there. They can fill in. Why do you need 4 quarterbacks in your squad? Explain it to me, Martin.
And let's be honest as well, like if you only had 1, for example, there'd be another 2 in the pool as well, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, like I had Dak, who had a terrible week, right? He only scored 12 points, right? And my second quarterback was Geno Smith, who had a good week. He just scored, was it 30 points Geno Smith scored or something? Well, in free agency there, I've just dropped Geno Smith to pick up an extra, even though Dak had a pool, because obviously I think Dak's going to have a good week this week, to be honest with you. I think his matchup's pretty good. So I think Dak's going to have a really. And then going forward though, I could never, I've got CD Lamb. I could never start Geno Smith ahead of Dak. I really, because I've got that start. I can't do it. So Geno Smith, I took him. It made sense to have him in the draft, but that's me dropped him. He outscored my quarterback, and I've still dropped him week 1 in agency. Sorry, I'll let you go over the matchups of Division 3 and I'll quickly go and deal with my 4-year-old for 2 seconds.
Take the wee man, no worries. We're heading into Division 3 anyway, so I will shout out the results while you're away dealing with the young one. So Marwick Head, Division 3, here we go. This is, you're looking at relegation here as well now, so there's that. We seed in the back of the headers don't get relegated. But Bonnyrig Cheeseheads, they've got off to a good start with a 216 point against the Bluetown Texans, 142. The Cavite Porkers, our very own Pork, got off to a flying start with 192 points, beating the Birmingham Bears 174. We had the Guildford Raptors scoring 221 against the Manchester Spinners 169. Then the Norwich Mustard Men had it up with 231 against the Knockholt Knockouts of 151. We had the London Eagles getting just over 200, beating the Lagersville Lemons 133. And finally, the Darlington Dragons, 218 points against Dobos Darlow Diamonds. If I remember correctly, Dobos Darlow Diamonds had this kind of luck last year as well, and over 200 points, but sadly getting the loss. And outside of that one, all the over 200s won and all the under 200s lost in this division. So it's certainly...
Well, Port got a big win, I see.
192.
There he is, there's Port's team. Let's go through it then. Let's have a look at...
Let's have a look and see the mistakes he's made. I mean, Caleb Johnson's a funny one for me. Where are you at with that? I mean, I drafted him a lot of places, but it seems to me that Rodgers doesn't like him, and what Rodgers gets, he needs to learn how to block.
I think he's going to be a second half of the season guy. Well, see if I see anyone drop him, I'll be picking him up because I think he might be a playoff guy, maybe.
Yeah, me too.
But I think he will be. I could see him getting dropped by people because I don't think, see the first 4 games, I think it's going to be bits and bobs here and there, I really do. And that will make people can drop him, I think,
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be down at the... I think a lot of people drop him after week 2, week 3 when he's not getting many touches. And like you, I'm going to be watching for it. There you go. There's Port sticking his own quarterback, sticking Dak on the bench. That's you draft him to play him. Surely, if you're going to draft your own quarterback, your own team, you got to play him. You big chicken.
Why draft
him then? Why draft him then? Why draft him then?
It's Pork. I mean, nobody can get into the mind of Pork and for it to make sense. I tell you what. See this Jonathan Taylor, right? So that won my like a couple of decisions. 2 things won my matchup, right? I played Swift over Josh Downs. That won my matchup for me. But what also won my matchup for me is I was up against Jonathan Taylor. See, after 1 quarter or 2 quarters, Jonathan Taylor had like 18 points. He was like, and then he went out injured though. And honestly, see if Jonathan Taylor had played that whole game.
They sat him down. He didn't go out injured. They had it in the bag and they gave Giddens a run out. He's absolutely fine. No injury, no nothing.
I heard that he had like a niggle, and that's why they just did it like precautionary. That's why I heard they thought he had a niggle, but I could be wrong. But anyway, him getting benched, what won me, and probably maybe Port here as well, it won me my matchup because I think Taylor was going to hit 40 points. I really do think he would have hit 40 points.
He was going along great gun, but the thing is, the leagues that I've got, man, I've actually picked up Giddens and most of them in the draft, to cover for him. And what did please me was Giddens did come in and look very good as well, for the touches that he got. I thought he looked pretty decent. So, I'm not as worried about getting a JT injury as I was before, maybe, but yeah, I need him to be getting the ball a lot more. But then they're not going to be winning 33-8 every week. They're not going to play the Dolphins every week, unfortunately, for the Colts fans, But JT's going to be, I think he's going to be just as much involved as he always has been. What worries me in this team is Cooper Kupp. That's a big alarm bell for me. He did not look like the old Cooper Kupp of old. I think he's finished.
What happened with Chase? Like, I'll be honest, I've not had a chance to look back yet. Was he just double man? Was he taking the game, or was the game plan just to run the ball? Or
It wasn't even. It was the fact that I mean they're up against a very, very solid defense in the Cleveland Browns, and it was the Bengals be the Bengals, don't they? It's week one. When did the Bengals ever do well in week one?
No.
So it was just a typical Bengals. Burrow didn't get going, so none of them got going. I mean, it wasn't like T Higgins had all the catches or anything. Nobody did. Noah Fant got the touchdown, the only touchdown throw went to Noah Fant. So yeah, the Bengals just didn't get going really. To be honest, was the problem. I think the problem was they didn't have the ball much either. I think the Browns pretty much done very well in keeping the ball away from out of Burrow's hands. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing to worry about. Chase is going to be absolutely fantastic this year, and once Burrow gets rolling, they'll be knocking the points in left, right, and centre. So yeah, I wouldn't be worried there. But I mean, Pork's got a couple to worry about as well. I mean, Jaden Reed there as well. Jaden Reed's for us. He's carrying the foot injury, and he's going to be carrying it all season long. And I'm just not sure how involved he's going to be. He is not going to be on the field in two receiver sets. He just isn't. We'll put Wicks out there before we put him out wide. He has the slot and the slot only, so it's only three receiver sets. He's going to see the field. And if our defence is doing what it done week one, we'll run the ball a lot.
I think, Phil, that's the only saving grace for Jaden Reed. Like, I've got him in maybe one league or something, but it's because he plays the slot, Like, that is what will kind of maybe let him put some points up, you know what I mean? He might just get enough receptions every week to give you flex worthy. Like, I wouldn't be stuck. Like, he'll not be. I'd be highly surprised if he's ever better than like a second flex guy. You know what I mean? I think playing him in your second flex, I think you'll maybe get away with that this season. It just depends. You're right. It just depends on his injury. I wouldn't be relying on him, but if you've got him and he's healthy, he's probably worth playing. To be honest.
I mean, you can stick him in the flex spot, and he is going to score you some points from time to time. There's no getting away from it. But I wouldn't be comfortable if he was like my number one or number two receiver. That would make me feel very uncomfortable with the team that I have going forward.
Let's see this Lagersville Lemons. That must be one of the lowest scores on Orkney this week, 133. And he got 50 points for Josh Allen, so the rest of his team scored 80 points.
With Josh Allen, that's Maeshowe as well. They're at 23. I mean, literally, we can only see two players, and he's already on 73 points. So there's not a whole lot going on underneath that. I'm going to go with Worthy starting. I'm going to go with Kittle starting. I'm going to go with. There's
Hunter's got some points. Oh, Harris,
Thielen. Because he'll start getting defensive points soon enough.
Oh, Andrews. By the way, Andrews is a dud. He's just not involved with the Ravens.
I mean, it's a.
To be fair, I'll be honest. He's been really unlucky.
That we see, because it's week one.
He's been unlucky with his IDPs there. If Johnny goes back up to his IDPs. See Franklin, he's normally 20, 25 points. See Spillane last season, he was 18 to 22 points. He's been really unlucky with his IDPs there. That's really unlucky. Spillane's the one you want to watch though, because he is on a new team. So it just depends where they're going to use him. But everyone does think he will be used. Yeah, they think he'll be used the same as what he was last year, to be honest, people think. But you just don't know until it actually happens. So, but that's where I do feel sorry for him. His IDPs, he's just unlucky there. That's just bad week for those two, and he's got them both,
Even if they pick, I've got to say, I mean, every team that we look at, as I say, it's week one, and you've either won or you've lost. That's why there's no point going in and looking at the league or anything like that. The 6 teams that won are top of the league, the 6 teams that lost are bottom of the league, blah, blah. But I mean, what worries me here is you've got Rice, you've got Godwin, and you've got Mixon all there. Do you think, where are you sitting with Mixon? I don't think he's going to play this year. I think Mixon's finished.
Well, see, in the preview show, I just remembered I brought up that team actually. Those 3 players missing. I said this is going to be a relegation team. I thought so. It looks like it's maybe going that way. But with the Mixon thing, I've got Mixon in a couple of places, so I'm just praying come week. Even if he misses 8 games, maybe he'll come back I'm praying he's back for the second half of the season. To be honest, I think what will maybe hang it. See if the Texans keep losing games though. I think if the Texans keep losing games, I think they'll maybe push for Mixon to play though. To be honest, because you know what I mean. It's not like they can just accept a bad season. Like they're in that Texans are in a place now where they need to make the playoffs. Like them just having a down
Yeah,
year isn't
I
acceptable.
agree. Absolutely, and they weren't brilliant last year, despite, they weren't brilliant last year by any manner of means. I mean, this is a big year for CJ Stroud for the Texans. He's got to show that he is that guy that showed up year one. Last year he was terrible, and they've got to kick on from there. And they did not look good again. I mean, I know they were playing the Rams in LA, not an easy place to go, but they did not look good on Sunday. They really did not. So I mean, at the end of the day, but see if they do end up 2-6 after 8 games and Mixon's about ready to come back, are they going to say no, it's okay? We'll just we'll run with what we've got now because we're not winning anything this year. That's my worry for Mixon as well. They're going to have to start coming good. Stroud specifically is going to have to start coming good. And what really, really worries me about the Texans is that O-line is awful. And if you're not protecting the quarterback, you can't expect much from them.
I know, and it was bad last year. And so what they did, it wasn't bad. It underachieved last year, so they blew it up. And so obviously this year they were more confident. And so far it's not looking that way. But the thing with Mixon is, I think though, this is going to be his last year, and well, definitely with the Texans. I don't think they'll keep him after this year, and it might be his last year in the NFL. Who knows what this injury brings? But that's why I do think if he's healthy,
absolutely,
they will just use him.
Johnny,
I think they will just use him.
Take me down. Go back at. Take me down to IR slots, Johnny. Sorry, just with this IR slots. Keep going down.
I don't know if it lets
I
you
just
go
want to
that
see
far
if
down.
Lemony Fresh has got his IR slots in play, because if he doesn't, certainly go and get Mixon into IR, go and get Godwin into IR. There's guys sitting about in agency ready to be picked up. So that's what I would be saying. Get them into IR if they're not already in IR and get some more players in there.
Yeah, I don't think it can on the PC app. I don't think it shows. Like they might be in there, but it doesn't show you on this, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but Craig's right. If you've got players that are injured, get them on IR. Suspension doesn't work, but I think IR does. Obviously, injuries do work. So you get those guys into the IR.
Both on there.
And the Darlow Diamonds, like you said at the top, Craig, just really unlucky. I mean, you scored 203 points, you're going to be a playoff team. So, Mark, if you do that again every week, you'll be fine. Yeah, so Lemony Fresh. Port needs to speak to his friend to get his guys onto the IR.
Indeed. But yeah, I mean, Dobbo's nothing to worry about in that sense. He's got a bit to worry about this week because Daniels is going to get mulled up in Green Bay. But you've scored over 200 points, you're doing fine, and you've got 2 running backs here that are going to have much better weeks going forward. Smith as well in Philadelphia. I mean, both Smith and Brown, they were both awful. So you got to think that there's going to be better weeks ahead for the 2 of them. I pray there's better weeks ahead for the 2 of them because I'm quite big on them. But I love Ed Booker. I think he's going to have a massive season in Tampa. I think by the time Godwin and McMillan come back, he's going to be so far away and gone as the number 2 that he's probably the number 1, even ahead of Evans.
Well, the only problem is it's just they paid all that money to Godwin. That would be my only concern. Like I agree with McMillan. I think McMillan is a solid player in that, but I think he will just be a wide receiver 4 in that team. I wouldn't consider him a blockage for a Booker, but Godwin is the one where they've just paid him, and I think he's getting paid into next year as well. So he will get he's going to get opportunities because they've paid him. So that will happen. But honestly, I'm looking at the team that lost here on the left, and it's like the only players that let him down really was Devonta Smith and Loveland. So it's just really, you know what I mean? He's just really unlucky. He's walked into a juggernaut on the other side, you know. I mean, Mahomes scored 31 points.
It definitely happens, that you just run into bigger scores from time to time, and that's just the way it goes. You got to live with it and move on. But as long as you're scoring points, as I say, it'll always come good in the end. So let's hit Division 2 now, Johnny. Let's head off to the Maeshowe. It's Maeshowe Division 2, and we'll kick this one off with the Southampton Dockers, 187 points, beating the Northampton Rebels, 177. We had the top score of the week by the looks of it, and that's certainly bigger than any score in the East. The Sandbach Satan scoring 276 points against the Birmingham Master Chiefs, 190, fine, but not good enough for this game. Lancashire Bombers, 183, beating the Whitechurch Warriors, 156. The Kilmarnock Kings, our own very own Derek, 229 points. Great start for him, beating the Glasgow Lightning. Reeves, 198. That's a wee bit harsh losing with that. Turbanville Titans, Everett getting off to a good start, 207 points, beating my very own son, the Royal Raiders, 132. Aaron, what the hell? And then Chester Hurricanes, 193 points, beating the Whitworth Educators, 152. So let me see what my dumb wee laddies managed to do here. There, or Tour. There you go. Right off the bat, Tour. I'm praying he's got someone on his bench, but I doubt it, because I always preach them, don't have two on your bench in one quarterback leagues.
To be fair, he's been unlucky. He's had Brian Thomas as well. He'll have way better weeks. Worthy really unlucky as well. So, well, Loveland, that you'd expect a wee bit more for Loveland as well, eh?
Eckler kind of disappeared in the second half, didn't he? I think he took a bit of a knock and left it for Bill to take over. But yeah, I mean, he's been a tad unlucky there, and it's an as you were, and it maybe Worthy needs to go, so he's going to need to have someone on his bench to tap in for Worthy, because even if Worthy is fit, you know,
well, he's got
Mahomes
Stroud.
can go to anyone. I'm not
he's
sure
got Stroud,
even if he's playing, I'm not sure they're going to take a chance. But yeah, Tillman's there. Tillman looks a good thing for me this year. As long as Flacco stays a quarterback, I think I'd be happy playing Tillman. I'd be happy playing Judy. I'd be happy playing, you know, in Njoku. I'd be happy playing Venom. You know,
to be fair, looking at his bench, actually, all his problems, he's actually got answers on his on his bench. So Kincaid could come in for Loveland. He's got Coleman on his bench, and he's got Tillman. So these three players, I would put straight into the team. And he's even got, I know Judkins right now. I wouldn't play, even if Judkins fit this week, I wouldn't play him. But see, come week 4, I think Judkins is but week 4, 5, Judkins could really become like a running back that matters, you know. So he's still got Judkins to come back as well.
Well, I think Judkins will become my thing, but it's going to be a second half of the season, you know. And it's the question's going to be, you know, what's Samson doing when Judkins is finally up to speed? You know, how good has Samson been? I mean, it's Ford owners that need to panic. I mean, he's gone now. You can forget about Ford as a fantasy player from now on, I would say. But certainly, Judkins is definitely going to come into it. But yeah, he's just that, you know, his starters have not worked for him. I'm a bit worried about his quarterback selection. So, I mean, when you do have someone like Tua, I get having a second choice on the bench. You have to have that. It's having 6 that annoys me. But
well, there's Geno Smith.
You know, he's got Stroud as his second option as the worry. Stroud is a worrying second option. But there are guys here in the best. I mean, Geno Smith's going to score points week in, week out. I would be more than comfortable plugging Geno Smith into my starting lineup. I've got to say, it wouldn't worry me having Geno in my starting lineup. So the fact that he's sitting there in agency is you know, there's options.
Definitely. But there's even Daniel Jones there. I mean, he does have some sort of rushing upside, you know. So there's definitely options. But I mean, who knows? I don't know who the Fields owner is in this league. Fields was taken as like a second quarterback. So if he's the second quarterback for like a team that's got like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, and they're never going to play Justin Fields. He's got Tillman and Coleman on his bench. He might be able to trade for Fields, you know. And then it would maybe be worth it for him, you know.
I'm at a lot. I'm not one for. I don't think it would be. You're going to have to give something up too much up for me to go for to go and trade for a quarterback. And like I'm comfortable punching Geno Smith in for free, as opposed to having to pay a Keon Coleman who looked very, very good to go and get Justin Fields. You know, now I'm not saying that Fields won't outscore Smith. I'm just saying that I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference in it. That I don't think Fields will go and outscore Geno Smith and Keon Coleman, for example.
Yeah, I do. I understand what you mean. It would depend what the price of Fields is. You're right. I was having a look at Fields in my league, and the person that has him would be willing to trade him because he's got one of those top 4 quarterbacks. Fields is the second guy. But I was looking at his team and like where he's weak, I'm just not willing to give up what I'd have to give up. Like I didn't even send an offer. I just looked and I was like, I'm not willing to give up what I'd have to give up to get Fields. So I'll be, because that is Fields I would really be tempted to play over Dak. Maybe not this hours. I think see Dak this week. I think Dak's got a really good chance to be the top scoring quarterback this week. And he's got a really good.
That Giants defense is pretty solid. Is it not the Giants they're playing this week? And that Giants defense looked pretty good, even against Washington at the weekend there.
I'm sure it was somebody. Who did I see it was? Let me just double check quickly. Let me go.
Yeah, it's New York at home.
The Giants
at home.
I don't know. I think.
Yeah, it's.
I think in the air though, I think he'll pass it. That was the disappointing thing about Dak, by the way. Why I like drafting Dak as well, right? Is because usually, see, even when he has a kind of a bad game, he usually scrambles and rushes, and like it kind of gives him 5 points. And so for him to only score 12, like it's because he didn't scramble at all. Like he didn't get any. It was a really weird game. Like I don't understand it. Like Dak, usually. That should have been like maybe a 16, 17 point week. Yes, a bad week, but it doesn't kill your fantasy. He still did all right, but because he never ran about, it was like Dak's not just a pocket passer usually, you know.
It was the Eagles as well. Dak will have great weeks, and they're going to have to throw the ball a lot because their defense is so poor now that they're going to be in big scoring games. So they're going to have to, if they're going to do anything this year, it's going to be through the air. You know, their running back room's not great, and he's got weapons. It's not like he's not got weapons there. I think that Dak will be just fine, but. In my opinion, anyway, I wouldn't, you know, kind of Dak's one of those quarterbacks where if I do have Dak in, I'm not covering him with a second. He's in that tier for me where I don't need a second quarterback. If I'm running with an Aaron Rodgers or I'm running with a Bryce Young or I'm running with a Tua Tagovailoa, I want a second option on my bench. But Dak is in that level where if I've got him, I don't need a second option on my bench. I'll just pick up whatever's an agency if something happens to him or for his bye week, you know. And I do feel like it's, you know, those bench spots can be absolutely crucial as the season goes on. Because, you know, your player can go down injured and you have to go and you go to agency to find them. See, if your player goes down injured and you don't need to go to agency, the cover is sitting right there on your bench. You're going to get better cover, you know, than you are if you have to go to agency, and that's why I think it's a wasted spot if you have any more than 2 quarterbacks on your bench. Good start for Derek here as well. He's looking to make a push into Division 1. Don't think we can be having that, man. Come on now, guys. Beating.
Well, he's going to have to replace his. It's already came through. Purdy's doubtful, so Purdy's not going to play this weekend. It's going to be Matt Jones. So he's going to have to find. He's going to have to play a different quarterback this week.
That's not a worry. There's plenty good. I'll tell you what is a worry. It's that the volume that CMC is going to get this week is going to be scary. I mean, that lad could seriously get 50 touches this week, and that's 50 opportunities to get hurt, you know. And if he goes down, they really are screwed. So he'll be praying all that it's holy that CMC can stay fit. But certainly, Henry, there you go. There, Danny's saying Purdy's out for 2 to 5 weeks. So it's going to be the Mac Jones show. Do you know the irony of it all is when they done that stupid move in Miami and they traded up to get Trey Lance? You know, Mac Jones was the one that they were put. You know, on PFT, Chris, what's his face is pushing. It's going to be Mac Jones. It's going to be Mac Jones. Well, Chris, you're right. It is Mac Jones, just a little bit further down the line, and without the cost that Trey Lance came along with. But Hill as well. Hill's a worry for me. Hill's a worry, but certainly a great running back room for Derek there, Henry and McCaffrey. If those two stay fit, I'm assuming that was his round 1, round 2, but that's looking a very tasty round 1, round 2 picks.
Yeah, well, the same with Hill as well. I've seen there was stuff about more domestic abuse with Hill and everything, so you just see with Hill, he's just a headache, man. It's just like you really didn't want to deal with Tyreek Hill,
Mate, it's a headache I've given myself in many places this year. I don't know why I did it, but I just couldn't let him go past where he was kind of going. You know, it was like I just couldn't help myself, and I've got him in a lot of places, so it does worry me. But yeah, it's a decent enough team for Derek. He's looking very solid there, and I don't see where the holes particularly lie. Okay, he's do you know what? But he's tried to cover CMC massive. He's trying to give all the cover to CMC. Obviously, draft one before the Brian Robinson trade. He'd have been raging when the Brian Robinson trade went through. Absolutely raging.
His bench, he is like.
Yeah.
See, when Kirk comes back, I think Kirk will actually be pretty good. I think Kirk will be a reliable receiver. He'll be a flex guy. And obviously, you were saying
I'm
that
worried
about
about his
that.
running backs, I've got to say. I'm
Yeah,
worried
that
about his running
eye
backs. I
manner
think
as
he's
well.
very light at running back. If something happens to CMC or Henry, I think he's in a bit of trouble, Derek. But if they two stay fit for the season, I think he'll be looking good to get a push, into the and Kamara. Obviously, he's got Kamara there as well, but he'll need the three of them to stay fit, and if they do, then he'll be pushing for promotion this year, I would imagine.
Oh, definitely. If those three
So
running
yeah,
backs
that's
stay
Division
fit, he
Two then,
will be up
Martin.
there.
Shall we move on to the big one?
Well, we'll go with this big team because this was the highest
Yeah,
scoring team.
the 276. Let's have a wee look and see where it's going. And that's with Achan not being brilliant. I mean, Justin Herbert, they look like they're going to throw the ball again this year. I think he could be something special because Harbaugh seems to really, really like him.
Oh, aye.
Brees
He
Hall looked a
loves
lot
Justin
better
Herbert.
this week as well, didn't he, from what he was doing?
I watched a bit of that Jets game at Brees Hall. He looked so good, by the way. I honestly, I've not drafted him anywhere, and he looked so bloody good, man. He did.
There's another one, by the way, that I have actually drafted quite a lot, and I think he fell. The number one receiver at your team, my friend. But Zay Flowers,
Yes.
I mean, he fell so far. I think everyone who owns Zay Flowers must be sitting with a cheesy wee smile on their face because he is the main man there.
Oh, he was really good. I know I got him in the Show Me the Keeper League. Remember, I took him because I missed out on other people, and then I got Zay Flowers, and it's worked out in my favour. But he's got Javonte Williams,
Absolutely.
so he did get some luck,
And
but obviously he had what? Yeah, and he did get, obviously when you're putting up 275 points, you did get some luck, but I mean he does have a solid team as well.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's got Diggs and Shakir on the bench there that will have some no bad weeks, Yeah, I mean,
See if I
276 points. What a start! You can see where it's came from. He's got it's just every one of the guys seems to have turned it on at some point or another. Where everyone else had so many O's, there's no O's there. There's no Chases, there's no Walkers, there's no kind of Kittles, who got points but went injured, and it's just very solid. Everyone's turned up, everyone's performed, and that turns into 276 points in the highest score of the week. Thus far, we have one division to look at, but I don't think there will be anyone anywhere near that. And that will be Division 1. So this is a big league. We have the defending champions looking to defend their title once more. The Darlow Destroyers as the defending champions. They got off to a winning start, but we'll start off at the top, Johnny, with the Melbourne Supremacy kicking off with a 201 points, very tight. Dickinson Heath Demons, that was a tight one, 196. Then the Belfast Benchwarmers beating the Bognor Regis Falcons, 190 to 178. The Gothenburg Angels, who've always been up there, 209, another good start for Gatch. Against the South London Rebels, Tony Harrison, 157. That's unlucky. They're normally very, very strong as well. So that's a surprisingly low score. The defending champion now, the Darlow Destroyers, 182 points to kick off the defence of their title. Not great, but enough for the win against the Kirkwall Raiders, 174. Then we have the Kirkwall Cowboys on 208, beating the Crew Juggernauts, 192. And finally, the Portland Lumberjacks, very popular trading team there. Portland Lumberjacks, 192 against the Yeovil Villains, I'm assuming that'll be 169 points. So yeah, I mean, this is the 12 teams that can be the Orkney Bowl champions this year. I'm sure all heading out for it. I'll be very keen not to go down as well. That's a big thing. So let's see how the defending champions kicked off their season against our very own Allens and the East Kirkwall Raiders. Drake May, you have to worry. I mean, I'm a Drake May owner, and I am quite worried about his week one performance in the sense that the Raiders are the Raiders. They've got Crosby and that, but they're not a top kind of 10 defence.
No.
And he didn't come out and light it up, it does worry me.
I think the thing with May, though, he gets to play the Dolphins twice. He gets to play, like, what I mean? These divisions, like, even the Bills' defense. I don't think, see, up into the Bills. This is why I'm really disappointed with the Ravens losing that game against the Bills, because the Bills' defense are missing a couple of key places of how they want to play defense. They can't play defense right now the way they want to play it. So, see, until the second half of the season, the Bills' defense, I think they're going to let a lot of points be scored against them. So, like, obviously, Drake May will get to play that Bills defence at least once before it gets to where it needs to be. The Jets defence, as much as on paper it looks like a good defence, they were shocking against the Steelers. That Jets defence was horrific. So, Drake May will have good weeks because of his division, the teams he gets to play.
You have to think so, and I am a little bit worried about the performance, I've got to say, because I was really big on him this year. But you got, Achan should do fine. For all that the Dolphins look absolutely shocking, and they do, you have to think that he is the one kind of shining light that's coming through that offense. And regardless of who's playing quarterback, I do think that he should still have a good season, provided he stays on the field. Dobbins is he's going to tail off as the season goes on. So you got to hope, if you've drafted Dobbins, you have to have someone on the bench for the second half, I would say. I think he'll be fine to begin with, but he's going to run out of steam. You've got Ibuka and Ted McMillan there, so two rookies leading the wide receivers, but two very good rookies,
The thing is, we'll see if Dobbins helps you get 7 wins at the start, you're happy with that? Because, that's you so close to the playoffs already.
But you were drafting Dobbins on your bet, you were drafting him after your starting lineup. So it was a very good ad for me in the sense that you're adding him after you've got all your starting lineup there. But he's someone that you can plug in straight away. So if you are taking a Henderson or you're taking a swing on Hampton, you need that Dobbins later on to be able to plug in until they get going and they really show themselves as true, their draft capital allows, But yeah, I think it's a solid enough team that he's got there for the defence of the title. Mason there should do pretty well. The defence hasn't done great this week. Obviously, that needs to be scoring better than that if you're going to go on and have a good season. But I'm sure they will as well. Bernard's decent enough, and so is Cashman if he's not hot.
Well, Cashman got injured, so I actually had him in the Dynasty Orkney. So I'm pretty sure I dropped him and I've replaced him now. But yeah, he got injured. But about Achan, I was watching him. I've got him in the Show Me the Keeper, so I was watching his score. Achan had like 0 points at the end of the first quarter or something. I was getting really worried about Achan. He did nothing until the second half, pretty much. But then the second half happened, and he got so much touches.
He's one of my keepers in the home league. So Show Me the Money League, which is played exactly the same as Show Me the Keeper League. That was. It's exactly the same format with the two keepers and such. So yeah, he was one of my keepers this year. Him and JT were my two keepers from my title defence last year. So I'm really hoping that he kicks on and that he stays up. My worry for Achan is that if he sees it going very, very belly up very, very quickly, and McDaniels is about to lose his job and Tua is about to lose his job, and they're going to move on from Tyreek Hill, I think he might be looking at it going, do you know what? I think I'll just wait to 2026 and I've got an ouchie, I'm out. I can see that being the case if it was to go belly up, totally belly up Miami. So I think they have a very big week this week against the Patriots, because I think it's a huge week for Drake May. I also think it's a huge week for Devin Achan and specifically Tua, to show that they can still do it.
Definitely. And that was Danny saying in the chat that Cashman could be out till week 6. So yeah, you'll need to find a new IDP. Sounds of things.
Yeah,
let's see. There was another close one there, though. The Cutball Cowboys and the Crew Duggernauts. Both those scores most weeks, you would think 192 points will get you a lot of wins. So that's another unlucky one. So that's what Hartline's. But it's all quite even so far. Let's keep going down. It's pretty even. There's just McCaffrey against Kamara. There's a few points, and then AJ Brown. There it is. AJ Brown's a killer. Yeah. I'd say that Mims
I mean,
though,
it really
but then
is.
Dwarfie.
But you've taken AJ Brown in the second round at the latest, Martin. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. You've taken Mims in maybe the 8th or 9th round, so you're not that so bothered. But they're Jaden Blue. That's an outtake because he was declared out before the game started. I guess Thursday night missed it. But yeah, I mean AJ Brown's cost you games this week. You know, he'll have cost a lot of managers games, not just because of the bad game that he had, but because of where he's drafted. You know, he's getting drafted before your Wilsons who are scoring 20, 30 points, you know, so it makes a big difference in where they're drafted as well, you know. But having
Definitely. And
played out, I mean, when you're only getting 6 points out your 2 flex spots, 6.9 points, that you're never going to win game scoring that, you know. But he has won this week, hasn't he? That's the winning team as well.
yeah, it was. He got
700,
big
mate.
scores for Henry
That's a huge
McCaffrey.
score,
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's over 100 points with 3 players with Hurts, Henry, and McCaffrey, and they'll continue to do that all season long, provided they're fit. So that's where that's where the winning's happening here.
The problem with Jaden Blue as well is that the Cowboys head coach, he's turned around and said that Jaden Blue needs to be more consistent before he sees the field. So right now, Jaden Blue's healthy and he's not going to be seeing the field. So he's just not happy with him. So Jaden Blue managers, it's going to be a long road this season, it sounds like.
It's back half of the season at best for those guys for sure. Yeah, it's they're waiting to the back end of the season. Here's a real close one as well. Just 5 points in it, 196 points and losing. So where's the difference here? Well, there it is, right at quarterback. I mean, when you've had Baker Mayfield out there scoring 31 points, you're feeling quite happy with your quarterback performance, aren't you? And then the other guys going to 50. That's just that's crushing.
Let's just keep going down. Because even look, he had Chase, but he had Josh Allen's fourth quarter is won this by the looks of things, unless there's some
50 points from one player heals a lot of ills because there's a lot of ills there on that team. There's a lot of ills on that team. I like the fact that he had the balls to punch in Hollywood Brown week 1. That's very much worked out in his favour, you know. And I think going forward with Worthy being hurt, Brown's just if you've got Hollywood Brown in your bench, put him in this week. He's going to be the man. Even if Worthy's out there, they're not going to. He's injured. He's hurt. They're not going to throw. He's going to be there more as a distraction, more as a decoy than anything else. I think, and I think Hollywood's going to get a lot of touches this week.
Who the Chiefs playing though? I don't even know who they've got.
They're playing. They're playing a big. Oh, they're playing the Eagles. They're playing the Eagles at Arrowhead. But it's it's a Super Bowl repeat this week.
Imagine if the Chiefs went 0-2 to start the season. What a travesty that would be. Saying that, I didn't particularly want the Eagles to go 2-0 either. I didn't want the Eagles to go 2-0 either, to be honest.
My out there call this year was the Chiefs won't win their division. They'll still make a playoff, but they won't win the division. That was my big call this year, and I stand by it. Talk to me. It's your team, Martin. So talk to me about Mark Andrews. Is he finished? Is he done? I mean, 2.1 catch for 5 yards with no Likely on the field. What's going to happen when Likely comes back? Are you finally done with Mark Andrews?
Personally, I think so. I think this is the change in the guard. I think this first week you put up all those points against the Bills. It's a big game. Like seeing big games, Mark Andrews is usually he's called upon a lot in the big games, especially. So this wasn't some donkey team that we're playing. This was like a big game, and he wasn't in the game script. Like he wasn't in the game script at all. So I do think, see if you've got Likely, hold on to him because I actually think you're going to end up with he could be like I know like Kittle's out now. Like there's a path where Likely enters that top 4 tight end room. You know what I mean? Because I think Likely will be involved. But Mark Andrews, I mean, see, the only league I would play Mark Andrews in, and it would be as like an upside punt, would be a standard scoring league because you're after touchdowns. He might get the odd touchdown just because of the red zone. But seeing half PPR, full PPR leagues, I would not be playing Mark Andrews. And if you've got Likely on your bench, I'd be holding on to him because you might be sat on a bag of gold.
Yeah, I mean, I gave up on Andrews last year when he went, but he said double goose eggs, the double goose egg
Oh, yeah.
weeks. That
Aye.
that just I gave, but he came back after that. He did. He finished the season really well last year, and he didn't. You could plug him in again at the back end of last season, and he was doing you okay. But I agree. I think he's done now. I think Baltimore. I'm surprised he's still there. To be honest with you, I think you will lean more and more and more unlikely. But even more so than that, I don't even think it's that as much as Zay Flowers is the number one target for Lamar, and he loves him and he goes to him all the time. And then and then there's the running game, and it's all about the running game. And when you get down in that red zone, you're right. Mark Andrews is a huge target, but then you've brought in Nick Hopkins, and he's a big end zone target as well.
Oh, did you
He's
see his
one of those
catch?
touchdown
Oh,
hogs.
well, he had that big one-handed catch. It was unbelievable. Honestly, like, see, the Ravens, because the Ravens lost that game, honestly, the Ravens were great for the
Yeah,
whole, apart from the last 4 minutes of that game, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I was going to say for 55 minutes.
1 second, Asher. Yeah, I want to see just one team quickly because I picked it to win this division, and I think they've got a good chance to win the whole of Orkney, and it's at Gatch 1, the Gothenburg Angels, and they put up 209 points. So I picked them to win the division, and I think they've got a good chance to win the whole of Orkney. So it's at Daniels, Williams, Connor, Lamb, St. Brown. St. Brown does worry me now, actually. I'm worried about this. I was worried before, I'm more worried now. By the way, see, that was the
Hold
pick
on.
I didn't like. And Debo Samuel was so. By the way, I watched a bit of that Washington game. Debo Samuel was. I think, don't get me wrong, Terry's not trained all summer. So I think Debo won't keep this up. I don't think he will because I
You
think
will.
Terry is getting up to speed, I think. But I think he'll still. But even if Debo scores 18 points, you're happy. I'm just saying he might not score 25 every week, you know?
It's a funky place for Debo. It's a funky place, He's brilliant at them, and Washington like to pull him down. I mean, his touchdown at the weekend was a end around. It wasn't. It wasn't a catch. It was an end around. He's going to be involved so much. I've actually went with Debo in quite a few leagues, and I'm very happy with it. But sitting with Debo, sitting with Zay Flowers, again, I can't. I couldn't understand how Flowers was going so late to the tune that I couldn't understand it so much that I didn't pick him up. Because I thought there's got to be a reason. So I've got him someplace, but not as many places as I feel like I should have him because I think he's going to be huge this year. But the defence here as well, Spillane and Buda Baker. I mean, they're going to be they're going to be great. That's not a worry. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. Gothenburg Angels has always put up a good team in the Orkney Bowl. This is the third year in a row that they've put up a really good team. It could be their year this year. I think you're right.
Well, I was looking. He played Otten, who got 0 points, and he had Loveland on the bench. He only scored 5. If I was him, I would have spent fab to go and get John Johnson. One of these. There was a couple of tight ends you could maybe have got. So I wonder if.
Harold Fannin was kicking about in a lot of leagues. And it's.
Yeah. So I
I
wonder
mean,
if
I
he
think
picked it
Theo
out
Johnson
any of
as
them.
well in New York. He's going to have better weeks. Noah Fant seems to, he got the touchdown in week 1 from Burrow. I guess the problem with him is Gesicki being there as well. But I think Fant's going to get more of the ball than Gesicki is. I mean, I would be totally out on Gesicki now. But yeah, the tight ends are kind of. It's difficult, isn't it? Every tight end that's sitting there is going to score some points some weeks, but they're also going to have bad weeks most weeks, more often than not.
which,
And therein lies the
which is
issue.
what
It's
he's what
getting the
they've
right
got.
one at the right time. And
Yeah,
it's if
definitely.
you've got the likes of Loveland, you're sticking with Loveland. You're not keeping him, but it doesn't mean you have to start him. Orton, I would be putting Orton into agency right now, and I'd be taking a swing with one of those other ones for sure, and waiting for Loveland to come good. That would be my plan.
Oh look, he did. He
There you
tried.
go.
Look, Gatch. He did. He tried to get him. He just didn't realise how popular he was going
Yeah,
to be. So he did try to get. But
absolutely.
to be fair, he tried. He just
And
missed
then
bid. But see, that's the thing. See, in his situation, if I was Gatch, I would have just paid big for him because it was the only position that let him down. Even if he spent 100 fab, you know what I mean? He can.
yeah,
I always say spend your fab early. That's what I always say.
I'm a proponent for that. I'm the same. Get your fab out nice and early when the players that are there are going to make a difference season long. The later the season goes, the less you're going to get out of them. Get your fab out early. That's very much my proponent as well. But given the lack of injury in week one, I think I would have held off more this week, not went nuts, because there's going to be, there's going to be injuries that get picked up, and it's going to make some of these guys in agency way more relevant. It's and that's when you go and you spend your fab at that point. But with the lack of injury, I can see the reasons why the tight ends are kind of going there, and there was the same in most leagues. Johnson got to, if Johnson is now, I would say, in a roster in 90 odd percent of leagues, whereas before week one it was probably 40.
Yeah,
Fannon's the same.
definitely.
He wasn't, in redrafts he wasn't, but he is now. So yeah, so that's week one in the bag then, Martin. It's nothing to worry about. It's a hard week to do, because what can you say? If, I've said that a few times now, but if you won your top of the league and if you lost your bottom of the league, it's all about moving forward and just establishing your team and working out who you want to start and who you want to leave on the bench. Work out who your absolute guaranteed starters are. Hey, your pal, how you doing?
I said he could come through at the end to say bye to people. Is Dad going to win this week, Asher? Yes or no? Yeah, I'm going to win this week. There we go.
Oh, Daddy's
Yeah.
not going to win.
And see, this year, because we're not in the same division, we're not in the same division as Craig. We can say good luck, Craig, this week. We can say good luck to him this year. So say good luck, Craig. There we go.
Thank you, pal. Thank you. And good luck,
Right.
everybody else. Thank you for tuning in, and we shall see you all next week. Good luck in week 2.
Right, you say bye, everyone, Asher. You say bye-bye, and we'll stop the show. You say bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Asher.
Thank you. On TV.